Okay. Item number 1.
To rescind the vote of the City Council at the June 10, 2014 City Council meeting concerning the addition of a position in the Building Department and the elimination of a position in the Tax Department, and to take any action as necessary.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
You got discussion?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and just so I understand correctly, the motion to rescind this vote is, how does this work exactly? We're going to rescind the vote right now.
That will never happen.
And that won't never happen, okay. All right, well, on that, I guess I don't have anything to say. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 2.
To approve the Salary Committee recommendation regarding a position of Senior Administrative Clerk, Local 233, Code 6, $18.73 an hour to $20.81 an hour in the Building Department, and refer to the Board of Finance for funding, and to take any action as required concerning staffing of the Building and Tax Departments.
Motion to go forward.
I make a motion to approve the Salary Committee recommendation regarding the position of Senior Administrative Clerk, Local 233, Code 6, with a hourly rate of range of $18.73 an hour to $20.81 an hour in the Building Department, and refer to the Board of Finance for funding, and to take any action as required concerning staffing in the Building and Tax Departments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion.
Yes.
I just have some discussion.
I make
Go
a
ahead.
motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to, when this was in Salary Committee, the idea for the position for the Senior Administrative Clerk, the idea for creating this position was to help alleviate the amount of administrative work, the load created by the wave of code enforcement calls. When it was explained, Deanna from the tax office was sent to assist the Building Department staff because the workload in the tax office was slow. I thought it was a good decision. It was a good, efficient business management decision, in my opinion. At the Salary Committee meeting, Teresa Babin from the tax office said that she could operate without one of her staff, but could use seasonal or part-time individual during the tax season. What came out of the Salary Committee for this new position, I voted no against. In my opinion, we don't hire when we can use underutilized staff to fill in where they are needed. We should always go for a zero-sum result. In order for me to support this in this new position, I make a motion to amend the motion to include the elimination of a principal clerk position, Local 233, Code 4, with an hourly range of $16.36 to $18.24 in the Tax Department, and to refer to the Board of Finance for their informational purposes.
Second. Motion made, seconded. Amendment. Discussion.
I have some discussion through the chair. I'm not sure where to begin, but in the Salary Committee meeting, which I was present at, there was a lot of discussion and a lot of different recommendations and I guess suggestions might be the best word, of how to best utilize different positions. The item on the agenda that was before the Salary Committee was simply the proposal by Guy Moran, the supervisor in the Building Department, to have an additional staff member added. There was discussion about the fact that a member of the tax office was being used to help out in the Building Department. My recollection of that discussion is slightly different than Councilman Martin's, in the sense that the supervisor in the tax department, according to my recollection, did articulate that she could get by with less staffing. But my understanding was that she would give up a position in favor of a half-time position, not a fill-in position, not someone that just felt filled in on a seasonal basis, and that what Councilman Martin's amendment is doing is taking away a full position in the tax office, which I would say is not what the supervisor in essence agreed to. And I'm not suggesting that we have to do what somebody agreed to. I'm simply saying what she represented to us would be okay with her is not what Councilman Martin is amending, at least in my understanding.
Therese, would you like to speak to that?
Well, before Teresa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait a second. Are you done? Let me hit, you have
Well, I'm
still
done
got
on,
the floor, so I'd like you to have the floor.
on that topic. I'm not saying I
No, no,
will
no, but you-
respond
yeah, I
to
wanna
what
make
someone
sure
else
you-
says.
I want to make sure you have the floor, so I don't.
Okay.
Let me, Rich, 1 second.
Sure.
Let me just address that. My office, as well as the personnel, have already been addressing Teresa's concerns with the part-time person. We've already addressed it, actually, and we're working on it. That is an issue that we've been addressing as soon as Teresa came into my office, saying that she didn't no longer need the position.
That's not something the salary committee was privy to. I mean, I don't know how it's being addressed or...
Well, that's an issue for the mayor's office, not for you until it gets to the salary committee. So we've already addressed that issue. No, Teresa, do you have anything you want to say? You don't have to if you don't want to.
If I don't have to, I'd
No,
rather
if you have nothing to say, no. You want to be a spectator?
Yeah.
Have fun.
Okay.
Good idea. Any other discussion? Councilwoman?
I still have a process question. I was concerned at the last council meeting because the motion had changed the substance, and I did think it was germane to the original motion that came out of salary committee. And again, tonight, this is not the original motion that was put forward by the salary committee on a 2-to-1 vote. And whereas I respect Councilman Martin's ability to give a minority report, this is not the motion. So I guess I'm confused about the role of the committee process here at the City Council, because we do operate from a committee standpoint, but if somebody doesn't like an action that comes out of their committee, there are other avenues for them to pursue it. This, I don't think, again, is appropriate because this as required concerning staffing in the building and tax departments was not part of the original motion from the salary committee's recommendation to the full council.
My understanding, and I read the transcript, that this was discussed in salary committee as part of the whole eliminating the position and moving one to another. So I would respectfully disagree that I think it's germane to the issue. When we talked about it in salary committee, and the salary committee is a subcommittee of the full council that acts as that way. So as chair of the council, I'm going to say that I believe it is germane to it.
Okay. Well, that's by Robert's rules. If you rule it germane, then it's germane. I'm just going to respectfully disagree at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would probably second Councilor Zappo's opinion there and say that, and I take responsibility and I chalk this up to my own still trying to understand how all the process works, but I'm surprised that a vote took place in the salary committee and 2-to-1 it came out a certain way, and then the person who voted against it in salary committee brings it to the full council, and before a discussion can take place on the original motion or a vote can be made on the original motion, it's already amended. To me, even if that's technically correct process, I don't believe it's necessarily fair or necessarily proper, especially given the fact that the committee had already voted a certain way. So I'll share that opinion. And also I'll say that I think it's obvious that code enforcement needs another position. So I'm glad that salary committee was able to make that happen. But I'm still not understanding why, because code enforcement needs another position, we now have to eliminate a position in the tax department. That's still not something that's really clear to me. Yes, I
just
understand.
want to interrupt you. We're eliminating the position because the department head is no longer needed. When we sat in my office, we talked about what was needed, how we could do a little bit reorganizing in City Hall. We understood the need in the building department. Teresa, she needs to be commended. A great department head, looking for efficiency, looking how we could run the department streamlined, said, I don't need this person. I don't need this job opening. So that's why we eliminated. We just didn't go in and say, you're losing a position. She basically doesn't have the work until July or January of each year. So we're doing some reorganizing is what we're doing. I'm all for reorganizing. I'm not for bigger government, and I'm not going to start adding employees unless they're absolutely 1,000% needed. So what this is a reorganization. I will support Councilman's amendment because this does exactly what I had envisioned, which was moving one employee to another department. The union already agreed on doing it. They already signed off, to be honest. And we're just reorganizing. We're not eliminating a position. We're taking away a position that wasn't needed. And that goes to the tax collector's administrative services. I mean, she's doing a great job, and it shows. And I commend her. And what really gets me is going through all these hoops. Now, how many department heads are going to really streamline their department when they have to deal with the flack that's going on right now? You know, that's what really gets me. We're asking the department heads to look at the departments, do some streamlining, let's become more efficient, and then it turns into a circus. So that's where, you know, but that being said, any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to add something.
Councilman?
And I think Therese is ready to hire, we're going to talk about hiring a floater that takes over for during July and the busy months.
The personnel director and myself has already been addressing that, how we're going to address her office.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Yes. Two things. First is I would respectfully disagree, Mayor, that this is a circus. I think this is pretty orderly, and I am in favor of talking things out in every aspect of life, and that's going to include how I choose to govern. So I respectfully disagree this is a circus. Second thing is, so what happens to the person, the actual person that we're talking about here? Is she still going to be working for the city, he or she?
Absolutely. No one, and that's the thing about this. No one is losing their job. And that's why we brought in the union, and that person is being moved from one department to another by her choice. We're not even moving her unwillingly.
Okay.
And that's why we chose this step, so no one would be without a job, whether it was for 30 days or 60 days. No one is losing a job here.
Okay.
I have another comment sort of related to this, because we're only a few days away from July 1st, when the tax office is apparently in their busy season. I'm just concerned that the tax office has the help they need for the month of July and whatever part of August that they need that help. And so I'm just questioning the timing of this and whether that's not, you know, ready to start now.
Understood.
Well, I'm going to take the opposite tact. I'm concerned that if we don't have somebody in code enforcement because they are needed in tax, then we are at the height of our busy season for code enforcement. So what does that mean for the building department?
We're addressing both needs.
Okay, so the floater thing might be back on the table and implemented in order to take care of both departments?
Yeah, we're addressing both needs, so whenever someone needs, the need is there, it will be there.
Okay. So I guess my only other suggestion from a process standpoint, which may be a compromise to both ends, is could we possibly separate out these motions and do two of them? The first one being the original recommendation from the Salary Commission, and then a second motion regarding the tax office, so that it's just a little cleaner?
Your motion that way? No, it's his motion, so.
Okay.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, starting with far right.
Can we restate the motion?
First one is on, actually, the first one is on the amendment. So you'll take the first vote on the amendment, and then the next would be voting on the motion as amended. So the amendment was to include the elimination of a principal code position, principal clerk position, code 4, in the tax department and refer to the Board of Finance for information purposes.
Okay, so just for discussion purposes, you have separated that out as an amendment to the main motion?
Yes, and we had first and a second on it.
Okay.
So we're voting now, I just want to make sure I'm clear, we're voting now to attach the amendment to the motion.
Yes,
Correct.
simply on the amendment.
That's all I wanted to do, so.
All right, so on the amendment, roll call my far right.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Motion passes. Now we vote on the motion as a whole with the amendment.
With the amendment,
With the
correct.
amendment. Okay. Roll call my far right. Oh, I'm sorry, discussion on that motion.
I'm still not happy with the process. I think that it's obliterating the committee's role and the authority that the committees have to bring matters forward, but because we did it correctly through Robert's Rules and Parliamentary Procedure tonight, and you have the ability to rule on the germane nature of a motion, I'm not going to be an obstruction.
Any other discussion?
I just want to say that the subcommittees are advisory for the whole council, and that we do not have to follow to the exact letter what the subcommittees want, and certainly can amend as needed to satisfy the needs of the city.
Okay. Well, I don't think the committees are advisory, and yes, we can amend, but they need to be done appropriately and proper.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call my far right.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, motion passes. Okay, thank you, Teresa.